Hi everybody, and welcome back to another short video. The abnormal can never really become normal. The only way that can be achieved is if we accept dystopia as the everyday reality. Now, of course, we are moving increasingly to that point and all the consequences that has for a functional society. But there are some things I wanted to just talk through with you, because we're going to be facing a very interesting week starting tomorrow, because tomorrow is when the British pubs reopen. And here we have a story, and this is a place story in the Telegraph, and it's setting things up, it's setting the narrative. Pubs are irreplaceable when that first ice cold pint is pulled tomorrow. It can't come a moment too soon. This is, by the way, from the allegedly highbrow Daily Telegraph, which of course is a rag. And it talks about the true stories about Britain's love affair with the pub. Before I go any further, last year the government used the public's obsession with the NHS to get through basically its narrative. And now they're about to use pubs in exactly the same way. They believe, and they probably with a degree of confidence, that many British people want to go to the pub. I don't particularly want to go to the pub these days. When I was younger, maybe different, but I have no real interest particularly in the pubs. But I did like to go for a meal, and some pubs serve very good pub food. So they're setting this all in context, right? So here's a woman sitting, well, here's the first clue that everything is not well. She's sitting outside. This is Britain, not the Caribbean. This is not Dubai. This is not a warm climate. So you can see she's got a scarf on her, so she's pretty cold. But even though she's pretty cold, she's sitting outside and she's loving it because she's also having a pint. So she's an empowered woman, obviously. Let's look at what British pubs are going to look like from tomorrow. Oh, right. So here's an example. I think it's called the Scenic Supper, and they've put up these kind of, I don't know, greenhouses, you would call them. And there's a number of them here. I think what is it, 1, 2, 3, 7 of these with scenic views, which cannot take up to 4 people. So you can pay to come and sit in a greenhouse and look out across the fields. Is this pub life, folks, or is this dystopia? You tell me. Here's another example. This is Somerset House on the Strand, central London. Some people will be familiar with this site. I am. And again, they've put up domes, so people can have the al fresco eating experience outdoor, but in a dome, and of course, separated from each other. And this is the fundamental point. If the pub has any value at all, it's people being able to come together indoors where they can chat and just enjoy common humanity for people who people who like that. That is the purpose of the pub. I'm afraid, folks, this and other things that are being shown from tomorrow will not be normal. But believe you me, the press's cameras will be there, trained, and it will show happy people sitting outside in the cold, drinking with their masks on, potentially, certainly socially distanced, having given their details, their private details, over to the pub. And this will be classed a new normal. It's not normal. What you're going to see moving forward is abnormal. The media will try to sort of astroturf it and make you think that it is normal, but it's not. Moving on. Oh, again, ahead of the likes of pubs opening tomorrow for outdoor service only, of course. Scientists, experts, a group of leading experts are warning that the third wave may explode. So that's a bit of a warning. What could they mean? Dr. Griffin hits out at the government over its apparent breach of a promise to base its decision on data. He said it's worrying. They're saying one thing and doing another. Again, there's far too many virus hotspots and not enough attention being paid to controlling infections that might spread from them. Another professor here, Professor Young, concerns the current measures in place may not be sufficient. Now, of course, with Dr. Griffin and Professor Young, one thing about both these guys is they're on full salary. They're able to pontificate and talk about measures that that are destroying the economy elsewhere, but it doesn't destroy the economy in their little fiefdom, and this is part of the problem. But the other thing is when they talk about the not following the data. Well, the data is if you look at people dying with COVID-19 on their death certificate, that number is plummeted through the floor, Dr. Griffin. But I'm afraid people like Dr. Griffin and his ilk, they don't so much want to talk about deaths. They want to talk about infections. And infections, of course, relate to cases. And of course, cases relates to the number of tests being taken. So there's a whole narrative in play here. And I suspect this is the government just prepping things. So if things go wrong, then they can say, well, we really have to follow the science. And that's why we're closing you down for the summer. Another rather interesting story in the media. Oh dear. There's a new blood condition linked to the AstraZeneca jab, the Evening Standard reports, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is investigated over blood clots. Now, you may recall that there is talk of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine being made available here in the UK to young people under the age of 30, because the government, I think, has suggested that the AstraZeneca vaccine may not be safe for people aged under 30. So this is a bit awkward, isn't it? And I guess some people may say, well, when you rush new experimental treatments to market, then sometimes there are these unknown and unforeseeable side effects. But there we go. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine also questions being raised, according to the Evening Standard. And then just to finish with, just to remind you that nothing so bad that the British media and press can't make it worse. Here we go. Out with a bang. Fears of super gonorrhea explosion across the UK as sex-starved Brits hit the pubs and bars before getting frisky on April the 12th. Interestingly, this is written by a woman. You can see Katie Davis. Well, I'm assuming her gender from her name, but let's assume she is. Well, let's correct a couple of things here. First of all, not all pubs are opening across the UK from tomorrow. In places like Northern Ireland, no pubs are reopening. Okay, so Katie really does need to get her facts right. But this notion that there's a fear of super gonorrhea, which rhymes actually, is really, really strange. I mean, you can read the garbage language she puts here. Experts fear record levels of sexually transmitted diseases could be on the cards as people are expected to romp in defiance of social distancing. No, please, if you're going to have sexual activities, for goodness sake, stay 2 meters apart. The laugh in all this, of course, is what amuses me is the assumption in the press that people have been strictly following government guidance for the past year, and that young people have been staying apart from each other in particular, because I guess a lot of this is in the younger age group. I hate to break it to Katie Davis, but as far as I can see from social media and elsewhere when you read stuff, young people have been doing what young people have done since the beginning of time. And this idea that somehow or another there's millions and millions of Brits out there who have been hiding under the stairs, just waiting for tomorrow, and then they'll go to the pub, they'll have some drinks, and then they will embark on sexual adventures. I think that's absolute nonsense. But it's the sort of trash that typifies the British press. One of the reasons I am such an arch critic of the British press and in general the British media. It's the only super gonorrhea we're going to read about. It's the kind of verbiage gonorrhea which typifies the British press. So there we have it, folks. There's a trot through some of the stories. Obviously, the news agenda has still been very much dominated by the death of Prince Philip. But we do face another big week ahead. and I thought I would tackle some of the topics. You can then let me know what you think about it. So please drop a comment in the comment thread below, and I'll catch up with you folks real soon.